So what I want to talk to you about today is just to give a very brief overview of exactly what biostimulants are. There's a lot of definitions and just clarifying that. And then I want to go into the legislation as well, so we all understand how biostimulants can be used. And then a little bit about our product range, and then an overview of some of the trials that we've been conducting in the UK. So what are biostimulants? Well, like I said, there's many definitions. This definition is quite old, but I think it does fit the bill quite nicely. I'm just going to read it. Biostimulants can be described as substances and/or microorganisms that, when applied to plants or the rhizosphere, stimulate natural processes in the plant to benefit nutrient uptake, nutrient efficiency, tolerance to abiotic stress, and/or crop quality, independent of their nutrient content. And that definition will become a bit more apparent later when we talk about the legislation. But what biostimulants aren't, they're not a replacement for robust controlled release fertilizers or IPM programs. We do see quite a lot of people touting biostimulants as pest control products or controlled release. That is completely incorrect. But when we go back to peat-free, and this is where I see there's a good opportunity with biostimulants, they can help overcome some of the issues that we typically see, such as nitrogen leaching, nutrient use efficiency, and even irrigation management. Now, when we look at biostimulants, not all of them are the same. There are many different types of biostimulants. Sometimes you hear people categorize them all into one product, but as you can see here, there's different types, and not all of them do the same job. So we have things like beneficial bacteria, such as Bacillus subtilis, beneficial fungi. I'm sure you've all heard of things like mycorrhizal fungi. Seaweeds, like I said, there's a million different seaweed products on the market, yeast-based products too, and we have things like humic acid, amino acids, things like silicon as well. And when we look at how we apply these to plant growth, it's really important to understand the effect that they all have on the different plant processes. Now, they can work in different ways. So, for instance, things like brewer's yeast can act as natural elicitors, and that helps stimulate natural defensive mechanisms within the plant. We have beneficial bacteria, which can help promote growth-promoting hormones, like things like the mycorrhizal fungi can help utilize confined nutrients in the rhizosphere or the soil. And then we can improve tolerance to abiotic stress. So things such as drought, waterlogging, they're all key factors when we're considering the use of a biostimulant. And when we bring this back to peat-free, a lot of these products can actually help overcome some of these issues. So they could be a bit of a missing link into where we're going with peat-free growing when we look at how peat-free raw materials are processed. As has been mentioned, things like coir, it's steam sterilized, wood fiber is superheated, and that can be an issue because that generally depletes these raw materials of the microbial activity, which in peat we understand has a positive effect on plant growth. It's understanding how these different biostimulants help with different issues. So some of the issues that we can help overcome with biostimulants in peat-free growing, we can see improved rooting and establishment, so things which promote the root production hormones. We can get the tolerance to abiotic stress. As Steve has mentioned, irrigation is a very key factor, so adding in things like wetting agents alongside the use of a biostimulant can really boost that stress tolerance. And then improving the nutrient uptake and help reduce the impact of nitrogen drawdown, particularly when we're looking at substrates which are quite high in bark content. And then also general improvements in soil carbon and pH, which are also issues we typically see in peat-free. That's just a very brief overview of biostimulants. But what I also want to talk about is the legislation. This is the boring bit, so I apologize. But it's good to understand where we are currently with biostimulants. So in the UK, we're actually quite unregulated with regards to the use of biostimulants. We have quite a lot of flexibility in their use, but there are key considerations. They cannot claim any sort of control. So if you are having a biostimulant and someone tells you, oh, this controls this pest or it controls this disease, that's completely illegal. We cannot claim any form of control for pests or diseases when using a biostimulant. Any biostimulant that has a fertilizing effect, so if someone's saying this product is having an impact on plant nutrition, it has to be a product that's registered under the fertilizer product regulations. So some products don't claim fertilizing effects and they're not bound by this legislation. But if there's a biostimulant, and there are some on the market which do claim to have nutritional effects, then please double check that they're registered under the FPR. So a plant biostimulant, by definition here, is a product that stimulates plant nutrition independent of their nutrient content. And what's key here, these last four factors, is the nutrient use efficiency, tolerance to abiotic stress, quality traits, and availability of confined nutrients in the soil or rhizosphere. And why is that important? Because DEFRA are currently working on a regulatory framework, and this will very largely be based on the EU standards, which are now currently in place. So in Europe, under the fertilizing product regulation, there are now biostimulant regulations which we have to adhere to. Personally, I think this is a very good thing, which I will get onto why. But of the 33 standards, you can see there's quite a lot of jargon there. 33 standards, only 5 of them actually deal with the claims of biostimulants. So part 1 of these claims is the general principles. And this is a very basic overview of the whole of these standards. But then when we look at part 2, if we want to register a biostimulant, we have to look at these individual components under this legislation. So part 2 is the nutrient use efficiency resulting from the use of a plant biostimulant. Part 3 is tolerance to abiotic stress resulting from the use of a plant biostimulant. Part 4 is determination of quality traits resulting from the use of a plant biostimulant. And part 5 is determination of availability of confined nutrients in the soil or rhizosphere. And this becomes really key. It's important to know that you don't have to register a product under all of these factors. If you have a biostimulant which says improves rooting, you only need to do work to prove it improves rooting under part 4. And this is where I think these standards are actually very good, because to get a product registered in Europe now, you have to undergo a very strict and quite involved process of rigorous trials, which then gives credibility to the product. So crops have generally been divided into 3 groups. To me, this is the only thing that doesn't really make sense. If you want to register your biostimulant in 3 different groups, it's broadacre, woody perennials, but ornamentals is categorized with veg and aromatic medicinal plants as well. So if you have a product, for instance, that you want to register in all 3 of these areas, you have to do 9 successful trials. So 3 trials in each group. If you want to look at 2 groups, so if you want to register your product for woody perennials or ornamentals, you need to do 8 successful trials in 2 groups. And then for 1 group, so for purposes of this, most of the products we're looking to register are in ornamentals. We have to do 6 trials in 2 different crops. So that could be bedding or nursery stock. So you can see it's quite an involved process, and of course that means a lot of cost is incurred. But they also have to be independently done. So this helps reduce the impact of manufacturer bias. But we also need to make sure that nutrient effects are corrected, because some biostimulants are formulated with nutrition in their formulation too. So potential implications of these standards for the UK is, well, at the moment, no one really knows when the biostimulant regulation will come into force. The best guess I've heard is 1 to 2 years. But the good thing is these will be very strict, stringent standards, which we will, as a manufacturer, will be expected to be adhering to, and we'll also be audited on these to keep the claims valid and up to date. One of the key things is that it will incur more trial work, and this is where I think it's good, because there are many different biostimulant products on the market, each of them claiming a million different things, and there's no real clear direction. Like I said, there's a million seaweed products on the market. Not all seaweed products are created equal. They all are different, various qualities within these products. So it will reduce a lot of snake oils on the market, and ultimately when you're buying a biostimulant, you'll have the confidence that it will have this robust data package behind it. Now, we've had some success. We were actually the first company to get a product registered under the new EU legislation, because ICL, we do sell into Europe and worldwide, so we do have to make sure the products that we sell adhering to this. Annoyingly, it's a turf product, H2 Pro Tri-Smart, but it's the first product to be registered as a non-microbial biostimulant under the new regs. We've got this through quite quickly because we've had a lot of trial work independently done over quite a long period of time at places like the Sports Turf Research Institute up in Bingley. And this is where, we're following suit with the rest of the UK biostimulant portfolio in horticulture. Like I said, currently in the UK, there is really quite loose legislation, but we're undergoing a lot of trial work at the moment to make sure these products meet that legislation. As I said, these products are being sold in Europe. So we'll future-proof these products that we're currently selling in the UK when the legislation does finally come in as well. So just to give a quick overview of the products in our range, we have a Vital Nova range of products. We get these products from a company called Alltech. We have quite a close working relationship with them. Alltech are a big kind of animal nutrition company. They're a big global company, but they work with us as they see us as leaders in the ornamental and the agricultural markets. And they do a lot of trial work on these as well and approach us with where we think these products can be utilized. So the first product is Vital Nova Prime. This is based on brewer's yeast. Alltech actually produce brewer's yeast as it's a hind gut bufferer in ruminant nutrition. Also a byproduct of their production process, they have a very good Kentucky bourbon barrel ale, which is 8.5%, so that's quite nice when we visit them. But what it is, ultimately, it's a natural elicitor. For example, if you were to rip a plant by hand, there would be a wounding response in the plant. If an insect, for example, was to consume some of the foliage of the plant, there's natural elicitors in the insect's saliva, and that interacts with the plant physiology. That triggers like a cascading reaction. Things like jasmonic acid pathways are triggered, and this leads to an upregulation in certain genetic pathways. And we see a whole host of positive responses in regards to plant growth. So how we're looking to sell this product is the trial data we have in the UK supports plant quality traits as we go back to that legislation. So we can say this improves things like rooting and also other numerous quality traits. So yeah, just a little bit about the product. We do have a lot more information on the website. This is just to give a very quick overview. Suitable for organic growing, leaves no synthetic residue. Yeah, very good products. It can be used in conjunction as well with our other product, which is Vital Nova Guardian, which is very similar, but this is a foliar applied biostimulant. So this is polyketides derived from fermented yeast cells. But this helps strengthen foliar tissue during periods of abiotic stress. So when we go back to the legislation, we're talking about a product that helps the plant tolerate periods of abiotic stress. You'll also see these products have nutrition formulated in there, which does have an impact, but we're not claiming any fertilizing effect from these products. And again, very similar to Vital Nova Prime, very safe environmental portfolio and approved for organic production, can be used across all crop types. Now, this is the one I'm really excited about with regards to peat-free. This is Vital Nova TriBoost. This is a growing media incorporated biostimulant. And this is what Alltech did. They went across the world and looked at areas in the world where there's very low incidences of soil health issues. So they went to the wine-producing regions of the world, California, France, Switzerland, and they found that the free microbes in TriBoost are quite a key factor to why these soils are so productive. The free microbes are Bacillus subtilis, Enterococcus faecium, and Lactobacillus plantarum. So each of these strains has beneficial properties with regards to soil health. There's also hydrolyzing enzymes in there as well as a kind of a buffer. Like I say, what is TriBoost? Well, it's a microbial inoculant. We incorporate this into growing media up at our factory in Nutbury. And when we go and deep dive into exactly what the products do, we have Bacillus subtilis, so that helps in the formation of biofilm. It can help aid resistance to phytopathogens, but key here for peat-free, it's the fixation of nitrogen, increasing availability of phosphorus, potassium, and zinc. And then when we go to Enterococcus faecium, there is more information about specific strains, and that is key for these types of products because one strain of the Enterococcus is actually a causal strain for rabies, which isn't this one, you'll be pleased to know. But this has been positively shown to influence plant growth hormones, so indo-free acetic acid, gibberellins, which has a positive impact on plant growth and establishment. And then we have Lactobacillus plantarum as well, which has very beneficial properties with regards to plant health. And then we go back to kind of the industry relevance to peat-free. As I mentioned earlier, the raw materials can be like highly processed. Things like the wood fiber, for example, is superheated, and that generally depletes some of the beneficial microbial activity, which we sometimes see in peat. Now, some of the raw materials, such as bark, do have microbes, but we don't tend to add that in a large quantity. And a recent study by the Forestry Commission actually showed that most barks that you see in professional horticulture have mostly detrimental microbial activity. There's not many positive microbes. Of course, you won't always see that detrimental activity, but if the conditions are present, then that can become an issue. So what we're doing, we're replenishing the growing media with a very healthy, robust community of microbes. And then now I just want to quickly go over some of the trial work that we've been conducting throughout the UK and in Europe as well. So just a quick snapshot. So one of the first trials we did with TriBoost, it was a peat-free trial. Grower grows in our peat-free growing media relatively successfully, but one of the crops was sedum that seemed to struggle with issues such as damping off. So when we first went to visit the customer, one of the first things we recommend generally for damping off, we look at the cultural options, irrigation practices, but when we look at things like biofungicides, we recommend a product called Pre-Stop. It's a beneficial biofungicide, specifically registered for damping off diseases. So we wanted to trial that with them to see if that would have a positive impact. Separate from this, we saw it as a good opportunity to trial TriBoost, almost completely separate from pathogen. It was more of a look-see trial to see how it performs. So this is the control plot. Hopefully you can see my squiggly lines. So we had plenty of control plants, but what we did, we had pre-stop down this line here. So we had 30 plants in each treatment, so we can make sure it's statistically valid. And then on the right side here, you'll see Vital Nova TriBoost. And what we saw, pre-stop, there were 0 losses, so we solved that issue, very positive. But then with the TriBoost plants, you can see on the right side there as well, there were 0 losses, but also very positive effects with regards to plant establishment and growth. So we're seeing that rapid establishment, again, one of those quality traits that we like to see in these products. So the grower's very happy with that result. They're looking to use TriBoost with the kind of temperamental crops that can sometimes throw issues with peat-free. And then this was a recent trial we've done at NIAB Labs. So this was to adhere to the portfolio of data we're putting to register these products under this new EU legislation. So we looked at Vital Nova Prime, the nutrition from Vital Nova Prime as a treatment as well, because like I said, we have to account for nutrient effects. Did Vital Nova TriBoost, and then a control as well. And this was in peat-free growing media, but what's key here, there was no nutrition added to this. This is to really stress the peat-free and really try and highlight the strengths of the biostimulants. And it was also done at a very cool time of year. It was done, I think it started in October. So not the most ideal growing conditions, but it's designed to really stress the effect of the biostimulant. So we look a bit closer, the Vital Nova Prime drench. So you're seeing good rooting growth compared to other treatments. Of course, the plants eventually ran out of feed, so they're not looking amazing. Like I said, this is just to look at the biostimulant. But compared to other treatments, it had quite good establishment and root growth. When we look at the copper and sulfur, slightly worse than Vital Nova Prime, so we can see the effect that Vital Nova Prime is having with the brewer's yeast. When we look at Vital Nova TriBoost here as well, this performs the best. Like I said, this is where I'm excited about this product in peat-free, because you can see things like the Enterococcus promoting the growth production hormones, that increased rooting and establishment is really a key factor. And then when you compare it to the control, quite pathetic really. You can just about see one root poking through there. But this really highlights the importance of using a biostimulant. And when you couple that in with the right nutrition package, with the wetting agents, then you can see the real power that we give to these growing media mixes. Another trial here, this was some of the data that Alltech put together. So they looked at genetic sequencing of Vital Nova Prime and Guardian. This is Vital Nova Prime. So the darker the green, the more upregulation of genetic processes within the plant. So you can see a real positive effect of cell growth, photosynthesis, respiration, translocation, defensive mechanisms, and senescence. And you will see in the control that there is some sort of green as well, because it is a natural process that we're trying to stimulate with these products. And then Vital Nova Guardian there at the bottom as well, still stimulating plenty of these processes. And these trials are done without the nutritional element added from the products. So we can use this as part of our registration package. One of these trials as well, this is on a peat-reduced crop on Daphne. Can be quite temperamental to grow. They applied Vital Nova Prime weekly as per instructions. And you can see a real improvement in the rooting and overall top growth of this crop. This was applied across a whole row of plants. So real positive results there. And you can see that this is in peat reduction. So you can see the benefits there. Vital Nova Prime trials here, just looking at overall rooting and establishment. So it's having a positive effect there. And again, this is in Europe. So they're a little bit behind the curve in regards to peat reduction, but they are getting there. But you can see overall that the biostimulant is having a really positive impact on establishment. Now what we've done a lot of this year, and this is a very quick snapshot of some of this trial work, is that we've put a lot of work together with poinsettias. So Andrew and Steve have worked quite closely on this. They've put together a really good poinsettia peat-free mix, where we're including products such as the Osmocote 5, the H2 Grow, really getting a really powerful poinsettia mix together. And we've also added TriBoost into this mix. So generally what we see across the board with the poinsettia crops has been quicker establishment overall and improved growth when we compare a peat-free product against a competitor. Plant growth is very good quality, seeing really good rooting, really good top growth, really good colouring as well, and that's part of that total kind of solutions package. So we've got the nutrition in there, we've got the irrigation management, we've got the biostimulant added in there as well. I like this one because generally as a grower that's what you want to see. You want to look across a crop and not really see any major differences between a peat-based mix and a peat-free based mix, and that's what we're trying to achieve ultimately. And then just the last snapshot, we've done a lot of grower level trials across the UK, and we're just building this in the peat-free program. We're trying to really drive this because we want to get these products, in the next year. We're hoping they'll be registered, so we'll have a very clear message about what these products can do with regards to plant growth and see where they can fit in the peat-free program. And just lastly, finishing here, just to conclude, using a biostimulant, they can help overcome some of the issues that you can sometimes see in peat-free growing media. But it's key to understand what products you're using and how they're actually impacting on plant growth. If you've got a product that you want to improve establishment, but it's actually working on abiotic stress, then it's important to understand the different types of products you are currently using. And then also always ask for the data to support any claims that you've been given as well. This is where the future of the industry is heading, because ultimately the idea is that when we sell a product to you, we can give it 100% confidence that it will do the job we're telling you.